Hey everyone, Scott Hansen here from NFL Red Zone, and you're watching the Super Fantasy Bros podcast. 1 hour of commercial-free podcasting starts now. Enjoy the show.
Focus Twitch. There it is.
All right, take it away, Shawners.
All right, welcome back to the Super Fantasy Bros podcast. As always, I'm here with Q, T-Gods, and Maddie P. Hope everyone enjoyed their holiday weekend. I know we did here on the podcast for sure. For today's episode, wanted to take a look at some early betting lines for this upcoming season and discuss what this could mean for these players' values this year. And for each line, we will each say if we believe that line's going over or under. So let us know if you like this idea for an episode in the comments or on social media. Maybe we'll do more like this in the future. We might do the touchdown lines as well, but today we're just going to focus on yardage. And also, I'm the one who selected the lines to discuss today, so I have a bit more knowledge on them because I did a little bit of research looking at them and whatnot. So the other guys are going in blind, so it gives us some fresh predictions and what we think on these lines. Going to start with quarterbacks, but first things first. These numbers are usually lower than a projected total due to injuries being a possibility for every player here. So, for example, like Peyton Manning in his peak, his over-under was probably not 5,000 yards, even though that was a realistic projection, just because of the fact that he could get injured. A lot of bets would come in on the unders if he made his over-under 5,000. So these lines today are from FanDuel, might be slightly different on other books. Keep that in mind as well. Also, don't mind my voice. Kind of lost it this weekend, so I'll try not to yap as much as usual. But let's get into it. Jalen Hurts will be the first line we look at for quarterbacks. Over, under 3,500.5 passing yards. He's crushed this line in back-to-back seasons with A.J. Brown hitting 3,700 in 15 games in 2022 and 3,850 in 2023. Now, obviously, he does get a new offensive coordinator in Kellen Moore. Also known a little bit for being more pass heavy, and a better running back in Saquon in the backfield. What do we think this means for Hurts this season? Is he taking a step back, or is he still going to be elite?
Come on now.
Not much has changed. He's going to be elite. If anything, it changed for the better. So
Yes.
taking the under on this would just be stupid, considering just like you said, he hit it the past 2 seasons with the same receivers he has now.
Yep.
We saw Dak when he had Kellen Moore. That offense was pass heavy and successful. And then Herbert last year, I think it was just last year, but pass heavy as well. So nothing's changed yet. Definitely for the better.
Yeah, definitely not ideal that Herbert got hurt last year. So that obviously impacted his numbers a little bit. But
And the receivers couldn't catch.
yeah, that too. And Mike Williams went down pretty early. But yeah, Jalen Hurts, I think he crushes this line at 3,500. I'm definitely taking the over here. He's too good. He obviously beat it the last 2 years. I don't think anything changes for this season. What do you guys think?
Agreed.
Definitely
Way
agree.
over. All over 5,000.
Take the over.
It's not gambling advice.
Yeah, definitely not gambling advice for any of these lines as well, but we are all just going to pick the over-under here on these lines.
We'll get death threats because they'll all just ride our picks.
Right. Next one here is a bit shocking to me. Josh Allen, his passing yards are over under 36.75.5. Josh Allen has absolutely obliterated this line 4 seasons in a row. His lowest total in the last 4 years was 43.06 last season, which is about 700 higher than his current line. Obviously, he does lose Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis and replaces them with some mid options at best with Curtis Samuel, rookie Keon Coleman, and a boatload of journeyman wide receivers that we touched on last episode, I think. So are we buying the Josh Allen fall off this season, or you think he should clear this line easily?
Dude, this is tough. It's really tough.
A scary line.
Because like it in theory, like he should easily smack this, but
Right.
like again, like who
He
is
has
he
nobody.
throwing to? Like
Yeah.
can he make them nice? Like could he do like what Tom Brady would do and just make like Chris Hogan like elite? Like is he gonna do that, or is he like
Or is he just going to run for his life?
he might like
Yeah.
yo his rushing yards, yo
That's what I'm
that's
scared
that's
of.
what I would smack.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think I agree there. I think his rushing yards are definitely going to go up. I think Dalton Kincaid is really going to be like a major focal point of this offense as well. Obviously, we saw him kind of get heavy usage once they got later in the season, and now without Diggs, he's got to be a target monster. So this line's tough. 36.75. It's really not that many yards. Like I think he's good enough to get over that, even with the lack of weapons there. But we've never seen him without Stefon Diggs when he started playing at this like MVP level. So it's tough. I think I'm still gonna lean on the over though, obviously barring injury.
Yeah.
Mm,
If
feel
I
like
had to
Josh
pick
Allen,
one.
you kind of have to.
Right. Like if I
Yeah.
had to pick, I'm taking the over, but
Yeah.
still
His
scary.
skill level is over that number.
Yeah, for sure. Q, you taking the over as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Take over picks as well, most likely.
Yeah, his picks definitely could even go up more than they were last year at 18 because a lot of not as good wide receivers here. So, but yeah, I think it should go over, obviously, barring injury. But again, I think it's going to be kind of close to that number. I don't think that number is too far off. Next one I found here, CJ Stroud. Passing yards is 41.50.5. So Stroud pretty much was at this number last season, finished with 41.08. And that was with Nico Collins, some early big games from Tank Dell before he went down, and obviously some games mixed in with Robert Woods, Noah Brown. And now he gets Stefon Diggs, who helped Josh Allen get to those 4,300 plus yard seasons we just talked about. So is Stroud legit, or could we see a sophomore slump here?
Legit. This offense did nothing but get better, and even when the Texans were dealing with injuries last year, CJ Stroud was still having great games. And with the addition of Diggs, that's like a true number one. No hate to Nico or Dell, but I see no reason for him not to get it unless he gets injured, obviously.
That's a lot of yards.
It is.
That
But
is
he
a
was
lot of
getting better
yards.
at it last
He
year.
did miss 2 games too last year. But I agree that is a lot of yards.
I would not take I'm not saying I'd bet the under. I just wouldn't bet this.
Stefon Diggs over under as well is only 925.
Oh my god, that's a smacker.
Insane.
That's a smacker.
So I kind of think Diggs is on the decline, to be honest, personally. He's now 30. Last year he was very inconsistent. He was nowhere near what he was the years before. By the end of that season, second half of the season, he was getting like 4 or 5 catches a game, if not less. So he was not as impactful as he was the few seasons before that. But again, he could definitely still be very solid. But wrong side of 30. Got to learn a new offense. I think he's not going to be as dominant as we've seen in the past. So,
Okay.
And CJ Stroud, I definitely think Stroud should get there, but I think he's around that number for sure, especially if his weapons all stay healthy. And they did just pay Nico Collins a bag, 3 years, 72 mil.
Yeah.
But this one's tough. I would not touch this line either, but if I had to pick one, I think I'd just play the under.
Wrong-o. Over.
Well,
I don't know.
I'm
man.
taking the MBE just a little bit. Just a little bit. I think he gets around 4,000.
Yeah, give me the line 4,000. I would take that over.
Yeah. I think it's a little bit scary
Another
going over that.
150 yards.
Yeah.
It's like a half.
Yeah.
One half
Yeah.
of football.
I gotcha. All right. Let's move on to the last quarterback here, Caleb Williams. Obviously the number 1 overall pick. His line is over under 34.50.5. Probably one of the most loaded offenses weapon-wise that we've seen in a while. Only projected 34.50 feels kind of low. It's about 600 less, obviously, than Stroud had last season in his rookie campaign, but it's also 600 higher than Bryce Young had, and he was supposed to be just as good. So is this a sign to stay away from Williams, who's already being benched in camp, or are they just playing it safe because rookies can get benched easily if they struggle early?
You know me. I don't trust any rookie. I'm
Yeah, no matter what it's at, I'm taking the under.
I'm cool on that.
Yeah.
You can have that.
I think like in theory, he should clear this line. Like I think he should be around 36, 37, if not higher, with the offense they build around him. But yeah, like
I'm just so
definitely
used
risky pick.
to the Bears sucking too. Like I don't know. Like, it's just
Bears haven't had a good quarterback like ever.
I don't think they've ever had a 4,000-yard
Jay
pass.
Cutler.
They have not.
That's insane.
Luckily, his line is not 4,000, but still,
Could have been Tyson Badgett, but
it might be. Sean knows. I'll take his over.
No, Tyson Bagent will be sitting pine all season. I think Caleb Williams, they give him a pretty long leash for most rookies. Like similar to Bryce Young, even if he's struggling, he's going to play all season. But 34.50 is low. I would take the under, though, still, just to be safe. I don't like betting rookie lines. Anything could happen. He could absolutely be a major bust, Jamarcus Russell. So never seen him play. No evidence to go off of other than college, which anything can happen there. Gator said DJ Moore 1,000 yards is a smacker. I would wholeheartedly agree.
Into his showing.
Yep.
He was looking for validation, and he knew he was going to get it.
What
He
if Sean
was.
said no.
Yeah. All right, moving on to some running backs. So we got 3 running backs here, all in new places, starting with Derrick Henry. His over-under is 925.5 yards. Another example where Derrick Henry has surpassed this line in each of his last 6 seasons, including 2021, where he had 937 yards in only 8 games before going down for the rest of the season. Obviously now he is 30, on a new team, learning a new offense, so maybe they're a little bit scared of that. Also scared of the possibility of being at age 30, getting injured. But how do we feel about this line for Derrick Henry if he's able to stay all the way through the season?
I feel like this is fair.
It's super fair.
This is probably where it should be at, considering he is getting older, losing his step, and obviously Lamar loves to run, and I'm sure the Ravens are going to have a fair share of running backs mixed in there. So I think this line's about as fair as it could be.
Yeah.
I mean, if they have like a touchdown line for him, I think I'd rather take that.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I think he smacks that regardless of what it is.
Yeah, I think that's at like 10.5.
Oh, it's 10.5. Oh my god, easily taking that. That's where he's going to get all his work done. He's
cleared that 5 of the last 6 seasons as well in rushing department. But Lamar does add a little bit more of a scary side to that too.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit.
Just a little bit.
Literally a little bit.
Yeah, only a little bit. They got to use him in the red zone for sure.
Does he finish with more rushing yards than Lamar? Lamar had 821 this year.
Yeah, I think he takes some of that pressure off of Lamar to run as much too, because like you weren't trusting Gus Edwards all the way through last season. Gus Edwards had 810. I think Derrick Henry definitely gives you more value there.
Oh yeah.
And Gus Edwards was able to get 13 touchdowns last year rushing, so Derrick Henry should get 10.5 for sure. But focused on the yardage here, 925.5. Obviously, you're scared that he maybe misses a couple of games here or there, but at the end of the day, 925.5. I'm still taking the over on Derrick Henry to get 1,000 rushing yards. Like I think he should get around 1,000, if not more.
I think he should too. He definitely should.
Maybe 926.
All right, 926. Q taking the over as well there?
Yeah, I'll take the over.
Yeah. Definitely taking the over. I think it's a pretty decent sign for his fantasy value, though. I still think he'll be in that RB1.
Easily. He'll finish like
tier.
RB9.
Yeah. Touchdowns should come. Rushing yards should still be solid. Obviously not going to do much in the passing game here at all, so going to need to be scoring to be super relevant, and I think he should. All right, next one we got here, Saquon Barkley. Rushing yards over under 1025.5. Saquon has more injury history than Henry, but he is younger at 27, so he has a line set that he's only hit twice in his career in 6 seasons, and those are the only 2 seasons that he played all 16 games in. But obviously, he's now going to a much better offense on the Eagles and a much better offensive line to run behind. Is this line easy for Saquon to get to, or with his injury history, or expecting him to miss a few games or struggle a bit here and there?
I'm not touching this line at all.
Did Swift finish with over 1,000 last year?
I believe so. I think he just got over it. I think he's like similar to this line. I think it was like maybe like 1044.
Oh, yeah. 1,004. 1,004 yards.
1,049. That's what I'm seeing.
Well, oh yeah, now I see that over there. But I would take it if he's healthy. If Saquon's healthy for a full season, he's crushing 1,000.
Yeah.
20.
If I can guarantee that.
You can't, though. You can't.
I know.
Oh, wow.
That's why I'm not touching it.
But I'm still taking the over.
Yeah, I would still take the over just for, like, obviously in fantasy terms. Like, I think this is really good for his fantasy upcoming, seeing that his yards are already at 1,000 for his over-under. His touchdowns might not be as high, but I still think he'll also be involved in the passing game. He's obviously been a good pass catcher and proven that in the past. So Saquon should be rock solid for fantasy. And for this line, I would not touch it with a 10-foot pole either, T-Gods. I'm in the same boat. Too much injury history for Saquon to really bet it. But if I had to pick one, I'd probably still take the over. I just think even in like 12 games this year, I think he could get close to that line with the upgraded offensive line and his skill level.
Yeah.
Saquon should be very solid this year, as long as he's on the field.
I hope so.
Yeah. Next one we got here is Josh Jacobs. Rushing yards over under 950.5. Obviously, the Packers let Aaron Jones walk. I still think 950.5 is maybe a little low.
It's so low.
He has been up and down in his career. He peaked 2 seasons ago, obviously, when he had that monster year. But did struggle a lot last year. I think he only finished with like 850 rushing yards, but he did miss a couple games there. What do we think this line indicates for Josh Jacobs this upcoming season? Can he still be an elite fantasy running back on this Packers offense, or are you a little bit nervous about taking him?
I'm not nervous. I would smack the over on this. As long as he's, well, that's not even, I don't even want to keep saying like if he plays, but
Yeah.
uh
I mean, that's it, definitely in this line. Like, I think his projection for the season would be around 1050, if not towards 1100. If like injuries were not included, like if you were projecting him to play all 17 games. But I do think Marshawn Lloyd has some impact here. I think I saw his line on DraftKings around 500 rushing yards. So I think they're expecting him to be like a clear number 2 on this offense over AJ Dillon and actually get some carries.
Yeah, but they also expected AJ Dillon to do like crazy things when he came in. He did nothing.
Yeah, he
So
stinks. What's
yeah,
his
AJ
over?
Dillon stinks.
100
But I think
yards?
Marshawn Lloyd's actually pretty good. But he's a rookie again, so he could do nothing. What'd you say, Q? AJ Dillon, what's his over a yard?
No, 100. I'll give him 100 yards. That sounds
Yeah.
like a lot, though.
Probably like 150.
I don't think they'll put up a line for AJ Dillon for the season. And
Good.
like even one day before the season, they would not have that up. Not worth.
I would smack the under no matter what it was.
Yeah, I think everybody would.
He sucks, dude.
Half a yard.
He'd probably get it and then lose it the next game.
Yeah. I mean, before last season, though, he was decent. He was RB23 and RB26 in back-to-back years with around 800 rushing yards in each season. So they do like to mix in that number 2. That's the only thing that would scare me a little bit for Josh Jacobs. But again, I would agree with you guys. I'm still taking the over here. I think a new environment for Josh Jacobs is going to be huge for him.
Yeah.
He's done it in 13 games. So
Yeah. We all taking the over here?
Yes.
All right, let's move on to some wide receivers, starting with Cooper Kupp, his over-under at only 950.5. This one stuck out to me. It feels like just yesterday he went for the Triple Crown. Now, after some injuries over the past 2 seasons, he is no longer projected to even top 1,000 yards. At age 30, have we seen the better days of Kupp past us? Or can Kupp find some relevance again this year? And also, by the way, Puka is at 1,100 yards, so
Insane.
they're expecting Puka to be the number 1 now.
Took 1 season.
bro, I mean, I think I'd smack the under. I think I would take the under.
This man just had damn near 2,000 yards a couple seasons ago. What is happening to him?
That's before COVID, man. Life was different.
That was 2021.
COVID ruined him.
That's 2021.
All right,
Relax.
mid-COVID.
Hey, COVID's still around. Okay?
Yeah, it is. Barely.
Sorry. Okay, sorry.
I'm taking the over. Puka.
I-
Fluka.
Well, he doesn't have to be a fluka in order for Cooper Kupp to get 1,000. And last year I was a big Cooper Kupp hater because I love Puka, but I think the amount that Matt Stafford throws the ball, it's very
Yeah.
possible for him to reach 1,000 yards. I would take the over, but I understand there's a big risk there.
He hasn't done it
Yeah.
in 2 years. I'm cool on that. That's
Yeah,
what
I
makes
think
me
it's
think
just-
he's
this year.
It's just the injury concern, I think, is really why that line is super low. He played 9 games in 2022, 12 games in 2023, and a couple of those games in each season he was also like banged up. So he was still putting up numbers. Obviously, last year when he was on the field, though, it did feel like he maybe did lose a step. He wasn't like as consistent as we've seen in the past. He had some big Cooper Cup games that we saw consistently, and then he also had some games where he would have like one catch for 11 yards or like 2 catches for 48 yards playing the majority of the snaps. So I think the timeshare hurts him a little bit, and obviously the injury history. I think if he plays all 17 games, I think he definitely gets 1,000 yards. But if I were to actually take this one, I would lean with T-Gods and take the under there.
Ooh.
I don't like betting on receivers over 30, dude. Too old.
Too old,
Ages.
too hurt, too
I bet you
but
bet on Keenan.
I would.
I'd bet on Keenan too. Keenan's elite.
Bet on Jarvin. He's not even on a team.
I'd bet on Jarv right now over 1,000. Just kidding.
Just bet on Jarv to get signed.
I don't even think that would hit.
Definitely would not hit.
He's still trying to play, but no one's signing him. He sat out a whole season. I think he's done. But yeah, Cooper Kupp, definitely a weird one there. Hopefully he's able to stay healthy this season and get back to his old self. Justin Jefferson over under 1,300.5 yards. Kirk Cousins is gone. Plenty of mouths to feed in Minnesota now with Addison proving himself as a solid number 2. And Hockenson probably going to come back at some point during the year. Definitely still has to recover from that knee injury. But do we truly believe Sam Darnold or J.J. McCarthy can get Jay Jettis to that 1,400-plus level receiving yards area that he hit his first 3 seasons? Or does this line indicate that he could still be moved before the season starts? Maybe they're playing that way as well. What do we think?
I didn't think about that. But
I think he still
hopefully-
smacks it.
yeah, as long as RB1 Sam Darnold isn't the quarterback all year.
But he's going to get fed regardless. He's going to have
I
like
know.
15 targets a game.
But the quarterback also has to get him the ball.
Oh, come on. You don't have to try that hard throwing to J. Jeff. You really don't.
You're
You
right.
don't.
Just look at the catch against the Bills.
Yeah.
He's so good.
Just throw it up to
Only
him.
Kirk can make that throw though.
Yeah. Definitely Sam Darnold not making that throw. Or
Sailing over
McCarthy.
the
Yeah, I think it's definitely. I think 1,300 is indicative that, like, indicative, whatever you want to say, whatever. 1,300 yards shows that he's going to definitely take a little bit of a step back. I think before last season it was 1,400, 1,600, 1,800, and last season in general he still hit 1,000 yards in only 10 games. With one of those games he played like 18% of the snaps. So his last 4 games without Kirk Cousins, he still put up like almost 350 yards and 5 catches in each of those games. So I think J. Jeff's going to be just fine. I think I would still probably lean towards the over even at this crazy number.
Mm-hmm.
As long as he's on the field, he is going to put up numbers despite the quarterback. Similar to like D-Hop when he was on the Texans playing musical quarterbacks every season.
Yeah.
That was just unreal how he did that.
Yeah, I think J. Jeff's the same level there. Garrett Wilson over under 1075.5. Definitely a letdown for fantasy owners last season. Rodgers went down 10 minutes into the season, but Rodgers is now back and healthy, although he is 40 and coming off a torn Achilles. What do we expect from Garrett Wilson here? He had 1,100 his first season, 1040 last year. Is 1075 too low, or do you think Mike Williams makes a bigger impact than people are anticipating?
Garrett Wilson hitting the over.
Yeah, I'm
Like,
thinking.
I was going to say, I think this is the one I like the most. I'm 100% putting money on this like after we get off. This is
Yeah,
way
10
too low. It's way too low.
Yeah. 1075, I do think is pretty low. I think obviously they're baking in the fact that Aaron Rodgers could get hurt again, which would impact his line. But even then, he was at 1,100 in his rookie year. He had 1042 last year. He's still going to get 150 targets, if not more. Clearly the number 1 target here, and I think they upgraded their backup quarterback as well.
Yeah,
Tyrod Taylor is definitely an upgrade from Zach Wilson. So
So much better. It's not even close. Oh my god. Dude, I can't wait.
So he's
I'm
safe
drafting
either
him.
way.
yeah, I also think this line is a good sign for Garrett Wilson in general. I think he should definitely be considered a top 12 in fantasy this upcoming season. Like, we know the potential's there at this point. Last season, obviously, a letdown, but if people are going to sleep on that because of last season, let them sleep. Garrett Wilson should be rock solid this season for sure. Marvin Harrison Jr., the next coming of the elite wide receivers. Apparently, his over-under is 1050.5. Hollywood and Rondale Moore are gone. It seems like MHA is a clear path to being the number 1 in Arizona, with Kyler entering the season fully healthy as well. Is Marvin Harrison Jr. poised to be the next great rookie breakout, or is 1050 yards too high for an unproven rookie? What do we think?
I'm parlaying those. 1,000% I'm parlaying those. Am I wrong? Is he not? He's, bro, come on.
Do I trust Kyler like that?
Yeah,
I do.
Come
I'd say-
on.
Well, obviously.
I'll still take
I
it.
do.
But yeah, I think he's just the amount of volume he's gonna be seeing throughout the season, it's gonna be so easy for him to hit that 1050.
Bro, they're going to be
That
losing
is-
every single game.
Yeah, just chucking the ball.
If it helps you, Matt, Kyler's over-under for passing yards is higher than Jalen Hurts at 35-25. So
Oh my god, I'm hammering the under.
it's smacking the over. But yeah, I think MHJ, even like with a backup, I think he's just going to get absolutely force-fed in this offense. There's really not much competition for targets here. I think Michael Wilson could definitely have a good season. We saw some flashes last year.
Who's the tight end bull that was dumb?
Trey McBride, I think he's definitely going to be the clear number 2 option there. And they did add Zay Jones, so there are a few
God,
decent
Zay.
mouths to feed. But Marvin Harrison Jr.'s talent-wise, he should be. All right, relax.
Why are you
Don't
hating on
look at
Zay?
this.
Zay's nice.
No, Matt was looking at me with sus eyes or something.
No, I was looking at T guys with sus eyes.
Zay is a
okay.
good receiver. You're tripping.
Yeah, Zay is nice.
He's good. You see how he gets up? It's
Alright.
crazy.
Zay was solid in 2022. We'll see if he can replicate that in Arizona. But yeah, Marvin Harrison Jr., I would take the over. I think this is also great for his fantasy as well. Looking at this number, over 1,000 yards for a rookie is pretty solid. I think in general that puts him into that wide receiver 1 conversation as well. I think we talked about that in that rookie episode as well. He should be around number 12, if not higher, in your drafts at this point in time. All right, last wide receiver, Jalen Waddle, over under 975.5. Waddle regressed a bit last year, but still managed 1,014 yards in 14 games while battling injuries here and there. With Tyreek obviously still stealing the spotlight, 1,700 plus yards in back-to-back seasons, absolutely absurd. What can we expect from Waddle after the Dolphins planned on running it back? They really only added Jonnu Smith and a 31-year-old OBJ into the mix. Does he go over or under this line here? And is he still even a wide receiver 2 option at this point in fantasy?
Yes. and
Yes. What the hell?
I feel
mean,
like this line is so free.
it's so yeah. I don't understand
Like, Jalen
what
Waddle is good.
what am I not seeing here? Why is it?
Right.
I don't.
Fear of injury.
I think he also struggled last year when he was on the field. He was nowhere near as like dominant, and his target share definitely dropped a bit. I
So we gotta
think
spread the ball around.
his target was kind of the same, actually, to be honest. But his production wasn't as good. He wasn't getting nearly as many yards. So, still a little scary, I guess. I mean, but he was still solid. I would still 100% agree with you guys. I'm taking Jalen Waddle. I still think he's going to be a decent wide receiver, too. I don't think he's that level where he was in 2022. I think his yards per target there was higher than it typically would be. I think he was getting like 12 yards per target and like 18 yards per catch. I don't think he's going to keep that up. I think last year was more realistic, like 9.5 yards per target, 15 yards per catch. A little bit more of a safer option where they're going to keep extending the field down the field with Tyreek. So,
Do you agree
Yeah.
with Fantasy Pros having him at 19, which is behind Nico and in front of Diggs?
No.
I think he's around like
So in front
16,
of
I would
Devontae
say.
Smith.
Yeah.
I think like mid wide receiver 2 is
No
solid. If
longer
you can get him as a low
fringe
wide receiver 2, it's pretty good. You got him all the way up fringe wide receiver 1.
I said no longer a free.
Oh yeah. I was going to say, yeah, I would agree. No longer fringe wide receiver 1, but if he's on the field, he's getting 1,000 yards.
Dude, Tyreek Hill's line is 1376.
And that's literally just baking an injury for a 30-year-old wide receiver. That
Should be 2,000.
Yeah,
It should be
if you can-
2000.
he could get to 2,000 easy. All right, last line I found here was tight end line. Obviously, it's still very early in the season, so there's only a handful of lines out for like the best players. Brock Bowers over under 600.5 receiving yards. Bowers enters the league as this year's highest anticipated receiving threat at the tight end position. We saw Laporta crush it last season, and Kincaid came on late in the season and still surpassed that 600 mark with like 675. Do we think this line is too low, or are you nervous about the early timeshare with last year's 35th overall pick, Michael Mayer, and new addition Harrison Bryant? will Bowers even have that much fantasy value this season?
Yes. He is 10 times better than both of them combined. As long as Aiden O'Connell isn't a quarterback all season, this should easily hit.
I actually saw him on a podcast recently, and I feel he seems a little cooler than he looks. But
I didn't see the clip, so it's still.
Minshew Mania will get him the ball too.
He will, yeah.
I don't know.
This one's tough though.
It is tough, but
Rookie tight ends are so bugs.
I hate tight ends,
Tight ends
and
in
I
general
don't
are
really
bugs.
love rookies. So.
Lately, rookie tight ends have actually been very good, but like historically, they're they usually underperform. Brock Bowers, I think, is a case where I think he could definitely overperform, but there's a lot of mouths to feed on this offense, man. And it's not
Laporta. Tight end.
What?
Rookie tight end wise, he was the last one before Laporta.
I think Evan Engram was pretty good as well.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah, Kyle Pitts was also obviously like
Come
he
on,
wasn't
bro.
great, but his rookie season he was good. I think he was like tight end 8. I think he had close to 1,000 yards, if not more.
tight end 8 isn't hard to do.
Yeah, he had 1,000 yards he was tight end 6. So that's a very solid rookie season. Brock Bowers line 600 yards.
Yeah.
Taking the over. Bias intended.
That line is super low. It makes me scared. Makes me want to kind of stay away a little bit.
Why?
600 so low.
They're just dangling it in front of you. Come on.
They got
son.
Adams
Take
and
it.
Jacoby, dude.
Take it.
Adams and Jacoby. What's up, Toby?
Mayer. He's trying to say, fuck. Mayer. He's actually on the Aiden O'Connell train.
Oh, no way. I don't like
Yeah.
Toby anymore.
Yeah, this one's tough. I think I would lean under if I had to take it. I think I wouldn't want to touch it. But I think in general, Brock Bowers should be solid, but I think it might take, similar to Kincaid, maybe like 4 to 5 weeks before he kind of breaks out. It took a Dawson Knox injury for Kincaid to break out last year, and a lot of people were expecting him to go crazy. So a little bit scary. That's all.
Yeah.
Are you all taking the over?
I am.
Yeah, I'll take the over.
No, I don't want to be that guy, but I'm just
Let's get
not
the
touching it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Pick one.
I'm
Scary.
not. I'm not gonna pick one.
I know who's been finishing tight end 1 this year.
Not Aaron Waller.
Nope.
Nope.
Goddard.
All right,
Nope.
that is it for talking about players in the current yardage lines. Again, let us know if you like this topic. Maybe we'll do another episode breaking down some touchdown totals. I know we touched on Derrick Henry, and we would smack that, so maybe we'll do that next week. But if you're here on Twitch, throw us a follow, subscribe if you want to help us out. If you want to as well, that helps us out a ton. We also post every episode on YouTube, so throw us a subscription over there. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, wherever you get your content. Just search for Super Fantasy Bros. You can find us. Also, like, rate, review Spotify and Apple Podcasts. That helps us out as well. Helps us get on more people's pages.